feeling 10 feet tall. Like a baller dog. I'm talking stronger living. I'm talking stronger soul. We taking our position and never letting go.
All right, guys, NFL Week 4 college football. We got NASCAR, we got Major League Baseball, we got crap all over the place, and nobody better to help us sift through it all than our good friend Tony George, DocSports.com, joining us. And Tony, crazy ass week. You got 10 days left in Major League.
Gordon Minshew is a fearless kid. He's got nothing to lose. This is his one shot. He's doing the same thing he was doing at East Carolina, same thing he was doing at some community college in Mississippi, the same thing he did, second place in the Pac-12 last, in throwing the football, and sixth-round draft pick. He dropped 3 or 4 dimes last night that Mariota, quite frankly, could never make in his entire career. And you got something special going on down there in Jacksonville right now. They're believing. The kid, like I said, he's not afraid to take chances. He trusts his arm. It's just kind of like a guy that's going for broke on the PGA Tour, got an unorthodox swing, but he's standing up there on the tee box knocking it out of his shoes because he doesn't give a rat's ass. And, hey, I'm going for it, and it's working for him, and they're rallying around him. And the one thing about that game, which is kind of an omen for the NFL this year, Joe, the amount of penalties that are getting called is ridiculous. I mean, you got Tom Brady tweeting saying this is unwatchable. Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, there is I saw a stat this morning. I was listening on VSiN that Paulie Howard threw out 66% more holding calls this year to this point than at this point last year. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, those penalties can change the complete complexion of a football game. They can change momentum. They can kill drives, all kinds of different things. And now this reviewing whether or not it wasn't a pass interference, all these different things that are going on. They need to start letting them play a little bit more. But there were a lot of penalties in that game that really changed momentum, actually, for both teams during that game. That I thought was, frankly, quite disturbing. And when you're betting this stuff against the spread in a tight ball game, let's say Chargers last week, a couple of touchdowns returned back-to-back. I was on the Chargers, by the way. Phil Rivers is on my shit list this week, and that kicker too. But at the end of the day, if you take a look, at that game, that changed the complexion of that game. And there was one of those calls that was real shady. Probably shouldn't have been called, but that changed the complexion and the momentum of that ball game, and probably switched $1 million from one side of the counter to the other side of the counter in the process. So something you got to be aware of moving forward in the NFL, Joe.
Well, I don't know. You'd have noticed too, and there's got to be a correlation here. The extra penalties being called, and Tony, you've seen it. Look at the unders through the first couple of weeks here. Dominating. Everything's an under. Look at that crap game. I mean, under. It's like, there's, like you said, changes the complexion. You start calling penalties 66% more, all of a sudden I think it's starting to reflect the scoring as well.
Yeah, it is. It is something that, like I said, that's a drive killer. That's a momentum killer. You got a team first down and 10 on the 33, and all of a sudden you're 3rd and 21 on the 50.
Yep, exactly.
Right. That's a scoring opportunity that is taken away. Even 3 points. But even if you get a field goal out of that drive, say you stall at the 30, it still puts points on the board, and it still maintains your momentum. When you take it away, then you throw the game plan out the window and you start chucking the rock. You're playing catch up. All kinds of different things. It's just every punt is a holding or a block in the back. I mean,
and it's unwatchable too. It becomes unwatchable. I mean, Tom Brady was right. How do you watch that?
I tell you what was unwatchable, and I can't remember the kid's name. I wanted to fly down to Jacksonville and strangle him, but number 25 on the first punt return, inside of 3 minutes in the game, fumbled the ball, looked like he was in high school, trying to pick it up instead of backing off of it. But how many millions of dollars are we paying you to F things up.
Yep.
You can't spot them 7 points on the road on a Thursday night game.
Nope.
You know, in a rainstorm.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? With a hot quarterback, you know, doesn't give a rat's ass. He'll throw in a triple coverage. He'll drop a dime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's amazing. Penalties and turnovers really determine about 90% of the outcomes in the NFL, and that is side and total.
Exactly, correct. Yeah, and you know, it doesn't seem like much, guys, but every possession, it matters certainly on the whole scope of stuff. Tony George, DocSports.com. Tony, we got a lot of quarterback changes coming up this week in the NFL, brother. I mean, Daniel Jones is in, back off Bridgewater. Cam Newton's not playing. You know, we got backup City here. Does that bother you? I mean, no more Ben Roethlisberger, no more. Right. I mean, how do you approach these games this weekend?
Well, you know, what I try and do is, and I go to various sites, and I'm going to actually throw out a competitor's name, for lack of a better term, but a guy that I've known forever, and I do respect his work. He has a power rating, but Kenny White out here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Big name out here in Las Vegas. He was on VSiN the other day, and I bought his power rating book this year in Las Vegas, and I subscribe to his power rating, because he power rates individual players.
Right.
And what they're worth. And it was an interesting conversation he had the other day. You know, Roethlisberger is worth 4 points. You know, Cam Newton's worth 6. You know, this, that, and the other. So you have to make an adjustment. Mm-hmm. In the case of New York, since you brought him up, mm-hmm. I don't think there's much of adjustment. If not, there's probably an uptick. You know, maybe he looked good in preseason. Now, we're not at Duke. We're not in the NFL preseason.
Right.
Now you're pissing in the tall wheat with the big dogs. You're a starting quarterback in the NFL against a very good defense, I might add. Say what you want to say about Winston and Tampa Bay and their inability to, you know, to put people away. And, you know, their red zone offense isn't that good. They kicked a lot of field goals against Carolina and beat them because Newton was ineffective in that game. But at the end of the day, this is a real deal here, but I think he provides them a little bit of a spark. And bear in mind, you're backed up by maybe one of the best running backs in the NFL. It's Saquon Barkley. There's no one's going to argue that, even though he's on a crappy team. At the end of the day, I think that's a positive for New York. And then again on the upside with at least New Orleans this week, you don't know how much Terry Bridgewater you're going to get. You don't know how much of Taysom Hill you're going to get.
Correct.
And if Hill's in there, he's a wild card. He's tough to defend. He's a dual threat. I watched that kid play. Matter of fact, I watched him break his leg against Nebraska in Lincoln when he was playing for BYU.
Yes.
But before he broke his leg, they were dominating Nebraska. When he went out, they went downhill.
Yep.
But that kid's a wild card. And bear in mind, you're going to see a crap load of Kamara, the other running back. You're going to see a lot of dink and dunk with those wide receivers.
Yep.
They got a good tight end there. A lot of people are just shading them and fading them against Seattle. Seattle, you know, beat the Steelers, and basically they had one arm tied behind their back in that game, so I'm not putting a lot of stock into that.
Right.
I mean, you better be careful laying over a fall number, because Peyton's a good coach, and they're a very talented football team. Obviously, you take away a Drew Brees off any team. You take away a Tom Brady, you know, there's going to be some regression.
Right.
But if you got a good enough coach to build around that, you know, you might want to put some stock into that. Newton going out, that's a big deal. That's a 5 or 6 point hit.
Yep.
Roethlisberger, I'll tell you one thing, you know, Joe, if you take a look, and I know there's a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there. They're one of the public darlings to bet in the NFL, but Big Ben had a 58% completion rate year to date when he got hurt.
Yeah, nobody's talking about that, though. Yep.
What he was, no one's talking about that. He wasn't playing that well. He looked like a dog turd in a cantaloupe patch sitting at the 50-yard line against New England in that game. I mean, it was – and if you don't think that taking away Bell – Connor's still banged up, but taking away Bell and taking away Brown over the past 48 months has not hurt Pittsburgh.
Right.
Let me tell you something. You're finding out how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is, and he's not that good of a coach. You know,
Exactly, yep.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
Are the 49ers worth laying 6.5 with because they beat up
Cincinnati.
the Bungles.
Yeah.
And the week before, they beat up on Tampa Bay, which Winston started the human turnover machine, replay in week 1. And they're still trying to get used to a new coach and a new scheme and a new offensive coordinator.
Right.
So don't put a lot of stock into those 2 wins. Were they good wins? Yes. Did they dominate a team they should have dominated? If they have a solid offensive game plan, if they have a solid defense, yeah, they did exactly what they were supposed to do at Cincinnati.
Yep.
But this week here, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. The Steelers are one of my Westgate contest picks at plus 6.5.
Wow.
I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because Rudolph, dude, you know this. You're an OSU grad.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, Rudolph can chuck the rock, dude.
Yes, he can.
He said he was breaking records down there that some of the biggest stud quarterbacks that have walked through the doors in Stillwater have set. I'm talking. You can go down the list of stud quarterbacks you had there, including your head coach right now.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, those are some, this kid can throw it around.
Yep.
He's more mobile than Big Ben. He's a pure pocket passer, as you know.
Right.
But with Connor being able to play this week, and they don't have any tape on this kid.
Yep.
We're going to look at a couple preseason games. He threw the ball around in. That doesn't tell you jack shit.
Exactly.
So you got to be, you got to be careful when you're just, tossing the baby out with the bathwater because Roethlisberger's gone in that case.
And it's another unique situation, not only the injuries, Tony, but, we got not one, but 2 at least 20-point underdogs this week, man. Jets, Miami, and I think we're going to see it, obviously, until Sam Darnold comes around. But with Miami, it's like the new norm. What do you usually do with these situations? You get these monster underdogs. Are they games you even look at, or do you just go stay away from them altogether?
Stay away. My Circa contest partner talked me into laying the 22 with the Pats. So I'm saying that's your play.
Yeah, right. That's
your play. But could Belichick and Brady in that group name the score against the Jets? If they wanted to win 52-0, they could.
Right.
And you never say that in the NFL.
Right.
A team, look, they could beat them 45-7 if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They literally can, and that's very rare. As a matter of fact, that's like winning the lottery that you could say that about a team in the NFL.
Yep.
That being said, going back to 1946, there's been 8 teams that have been favored by 20 or more points in the NFL. They're 0-8 against the spread. So, and bear in mind, last week, when New England they've been the last 12 times they've been a double-digit favorite, including last week.
Mm-hmm. And
I took this play. They are 12-0 against the spread on unders in those games.
Crazy.
And I took the under in the Miami game. They almost got to 48 by themselves. Thank God Miami didn't score.
Yep.
But, they had a pick 6 there at the end of the game. They weren't going to rub it in. But,
right.
As Dean said, that's an angle you might want to look at.
Yep.
But you would think Belichick would pull Brady out, some of the stars, and say, look, we're up 35-0, no big deal. We're not going to risk Tom Brady and, his legacy and a run at another Super Bowl this year. But he left him in the whole game.
Yeah.
He's not going to yank him against the Jets. So what are they going to do?
Yep.
Falk, another Washington State phenom from 2 years ago, and then Minshew came in.
Yep.
And bear in mind, they had a starting quarterback that committed suicide there.
Yeah,
in between those two, that was going to be a stud, unfortunately. But Mike Leach knows how. He did it down at Texas Tech, and he's doing it there.
Yes, he
But
is.
at the end of the day here, I don't think that last game they played the Jets, who they played, they got beat up with last weekend.
Cleveland. They played Cleveland. Yeah, it was Cleveland Monday night.
Cleveland
what a game.
was in the backfield before they were even handing the ball off to Bell. Exactly. He was getting the ball, and the guy was standing there. Hey, how you doing? Here's a helmet in the chest. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Sure wish you were back in Pittsburgh, don't you?
Yeah. Terrible.
But, at the end of the day, I would avoid him. I would avoid teaser plays with him.
Okay.
I would just stay away from 20-point favorites in the NFL.
Right.
You got to look – and usually you say, well, Joe, look for reasons to take the dog. buddy, I can't find any. You've been outscored 100. You've been outscored 102 to 10.
Yep, yep.
You know, and that was at home. Now you're on the road for the first time.
Yep.
You know, and look at Dak Prescott. First in completion rate, first in yards per play. I mean, you know, first in QB rating.
Yep.
Going up against, you know, Fitz Magic, there is no magic. You know,
Nope.
You're like a Chris Angel show that got canceled out here and went dark. It's over. There is no Fitz Magic. So
it's over. Stay away. Too many other games on the board, bottom line, to try and force a play along those lines.
Yeah.
Tony George, DocSports.com, guys. Free $60 to use it any way you want. You sign up, follow the links below. You guys know the routine. It's $60 in your pocket. Use it with Tony. Use it with the guys at Docs. You got some of the very best in the business. And listen, college football here. We got a couple of games here tonight. Of course, some marquee matchups over the weekend. Is there anything on the board here tonight that you're looking at? Air Force, Boise State, you got. You know, I think we've also got FIU, I believe, down by my neck of the woods. So who do you like here tonight?
I'll tell you what. I've got a 4-unit pick on USC Utah, which is a good strong play tonight. And we're rolling in college football, 10-4 the last 3 Saturdays. I'm unbeaten in top place. I've got another big 7-unit play tomorrow on a 5-pack. I love the board this weekend. Tonight, though, that Boise State Air Force game has got red flags all over it. I don't want anything to do with it. Okay. It'll be a good game to watch. Don't get me wrong, but there's a difference between watching a football game and actually having money on a game where you can find an angle. And I think FIU and Louisiana Tech provides a little bit of value tonight. 2 very good coaches in this game, too. Skip Holtz, Butch Davis, no doubt about it. But FIU's been a little bit of a disappointment this year. They're juggling quarterbacks into the 3rd game of the season, which you know is never a good thing.
No.
And they're struggling to score. They're only scoring 19 points a game. Skip Holtz's team, Louisiana Tech, last 3 times they played FIU, they beat them by double digits. More than, as a matter of fact, not only double digits, by 2 scores or more, 2 touchdowns or more. And, of course, the defense, Louisiana Tech, and this is also taking into account the 45-17 ass whipping that Texas gave them to open up the season. They're only allowing 22 a game.
Yep.
I'll lay the 7. I'll lay the 7 with Louisiana Tech tonight.
To get the job done. All right. And, of course, a couple of these big matchups, too, this weekend. You mentioned OSU. What about them, man? Texas, man. Tom Herman versus the Mullet. Listen, Oklahoma State has owned Texas's ass over the last. I don't think they've beaten them since 2014.